us. We're on our racism vibe today. Stop being racist. Stop being racist.
Is a social experiment that brings humans with opposing beliefs or experiences together. These discussions may contain viewpoints that are the result of misinformation. Remember to seek out experts and to be critical of your own biases while forming an opinion. Please see the humanity in each participant, and as always,
blaming Jubilee for racism, where they had to add this. What the hell, y'all? Think for yourselves, bro.
Also experienced racism.
Oh, cheers. Oh my gosh, she's bad.
Racism with the prompt.
She's too.
White people also experienced racism.
Oh, okay.
White people also experienced.
Okay, so this is. I'm so excited. I just like talking about stuff like this because I feel like it's just so. The amount of knowledge that I can gain from strangers whenever I have conversations like this just gets me so excited, bro. I just love learning, bro. I just love learning. For me, with this question, right, I understand the concept of, like, I think of racism as a tree, right? And so the tree is the racism, and that's just that. Then you have branches which branch out into things like environmental racism, economic racism, like school racism, all those things, right? Those are all branches. And white people cannot be oppressed using those usually they cannot be affected by those, right? Sometimes you have outliers, but you don't really pay attention to the outliers, you know what I mean? Like, you know, like when you're counting, when you're taking the average of feet and toes, right? You would know that it should be 20. Everyone that usually has 20 feet and toes, 20 toes. Wait, what? I am zooted. Everyone should have 10 fingers and 10 toes. That is the norm, right? Yes, there are outliers of people who might have 6 fingers on one hand or 4 or whatever, but that's just a minute number. It's where you usually don't have to pay attention to that. I thought that, isn't that like simple? I want to say geometry. I don't know what it is, but like it's one of those math things with like the box and then you have the outliers, you know, like what outlier matters more, you know what I'm saying? It'll be on the screen now if I do make this into a YouTube video. But I feel like racism, the tree, I feel like white people can be hit with stuff like that. Versus like I genuinely know people who hate white people simply because they're white. And like that's racist, because if someone hated me simply because I'm black, that's racism. You know what I mean? Like that's just how I think about it. That is how my mind connects those.
Racism.
I'm gonna answer every question. Watch. This video about to be 2 hours. And I like it. Hey, I think it's Jewish. Shout out my Jewish folk.
I think racism is
shout out
not a one race against the other.
She look good. She look nice.
It doesn't matter if you're white, if you're black, if you're Asian.
I'm from Sierra Leone.
You could experience racism no matter what color your skin is.
I think that people have a propensity to kind of have an. I think that people have a propensity to.
That's the word of the day, y'all. Propensity. Start using that. I want everyone to hand in their due nouns when this video is over.
To kind of have an aversion towards what's different from them. I've been called a cracker before. And
you know what I mean? But Pete, right? This is what I'm gonna say is.
What, in the thing?
The 100th video that I'm posting.
Yeah.
That's where I'm reacting to my old videos of like my big ass head and stuff with Jamil and all that. Annoying niggas, bro. I mean, it didn't load yet, but. Fuck you, bitch. You a move. All that spit in your mouth. But yes, as I was saying, cracker to her could hurt just as much as the N-word to us, because different actions can still cause the same emotion. You know what I mean? Like that's basically what I'm trying to say. Like, yeah, ours has more meaning to where like if you use them both at the same time, clearly one is worse than the other. But if she never uses that word and somebody called it, of course she's gonna, you know, like of course.
I was going to get beaten up because I was white. I would argue that on a systemic level, white people don't experience racism the same way a lot of other races experience.
Systemic racism was another one on the tree.
But I would say on an individual level, any group is capable of being.
She basically said what I said, just like in different words. I said about tree trunk.
So the argument against this position frequently is that racism is a system, not a sentiment in the United States. And I agree with that really strongly, but at the same time, I'm Jewish and racially white. And if definitely experienced racism, discrimination. The paradox is that most of that racism is coming from white people or European society.
Same thing for me, man. I could say the majority of the racism I've experienced in this lifetime of mine is from Black/African people.
White nationalism, etc., that's directed at Jews. So I'm Dane.
Like racism where it hurt my feelings.
I'm proud of being Jewish and being connected to an ancient religion and culture,
Yamakas.
but I'm not proud to be white, I would say. White privilege,
See, that's sad.
I think, is
You should be proud to be yourself no matter what. Just try to be a better person every single day.
an aspect of American society. I
Like,
think
cut
it
my
exists.
finger, huh?
When I go to a job interview, I don't have to worry about my hairstyle or the way I normally speak or my name. And that's something perhaps a Black person would have to worry about.
Can they disagree a step forward?
The branches of the racism I was talking about. Why is there an extra seat? Oh, I didn't
So
even
I just
see
want to
her.
say that I want to validate everyone's individual experiences. I do also believe that white people experience bias, prejudice, but
And for me, when you look up the word prejudice, right? Racism, because usually prejudice is the first word in it, and that's where I get confused personally. Where it's like you can't say they can only experience prejudice when clearly it's. I'm not gonna say the same thing, but you know what I mean. It means it.
the reason I did not step forward is because, by definition, racism is tied to power and economics. You talked about systemic discrimination. I don't feel white people experience racism by definition and by actual concept.
What is the definition of racism and who wrote that definition?
In the late 1500s, early 1600s,
See our receipts.
there was slavery. They started bringing over slaves, but there was really no concept
She
of
looked good.
classifying people in terms of race. It's just we're bringing these people over and they're slaves. What ended up happening is some of the slave owners who were white started mixing with some of the slaves. And now here you have
Mixed
these
people.
Black people that look like the people that are owning things. So they're like, whoa, 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 whoa.
And that also never made sense to me because, like, if y'all thought people were dirt and like so less than you, why are you procreating with them? Like, you know, like it's like I guess maybe I just think too much, but that's how that sounds in my head. Like, if I think that is dirt or so beneath me, I am not sticking my penis inside of that. So like y'all, you know what I'm saying? Like y'all clearly it's just y'all being the white folk back in the 1500s, what she's talking about, are just dumb.
Theory of race was formed to classify a group of people who would be lesser than and have less economic
Beautiful.
power, and this would be imposed against them for hundreds of
And she
years.
spit.
So that has not been the white experience in this country, but it does not invalidate the things that white people experience. It's just not racism by definition. Is it prejudice? Is it bias? Is it wrong? Yes.
Mine is simple. If
See, but it's just the word when that word prejudice, it's just white.
one person
Why can't a typo ever happen?
treats another person differently because of the color of their skin, to me, that's racism. I will tell you that I was stopped by the police plenty of times when I was a young man. And I will also tell you that I then decided to spend 35 years as a policeman.
See, but he has, I don't know, of course. And yeah, let me not even say that. I was gonna say, yeah,
I'll tell you that I stopped lots of kids coming home from school. Depending on who it was that I stopped, the first thing out of their mouth would be, "You only stopped me because I'm Black." And I would say, "You're driving a sports car with a back window that's this big. I can't see who's driving, and I stopped you because you're doing 95 and a 55. I had no idea who I was pulling over until like."
Fair. What he's saying is fair. It's more of a thing where like people aren't dumb, so they could use 444. Stay alive, y'all. I don't believe in that. It's just interesting to see, but people will use it as an excuse to get away with stuff. Mom calling me.
Now, if I treat you differently because you're Black, then I'm a racist. But if I write you the same ticket that I was going to write you before I knew who was behind the wheel, I'm not.
So I'm glad you used that example, and I want to commend you for your service for our country. But I do want to say, because I've actually taught classes for the LAPD and for their cadets about these issues. But what I can say is a statistic, and which is also a fact, is that 60% of our prison population
32% of the U.S. population is represented by African Americans and Hispanics, compared to 56% of U.S. incarcerated population being represented by African Americans and Hispanics. African Americans are incarcerated at more than 5 times the rate of whites. NCAA.org.
Different issue.
Yes, but let me finish, please. Is African American males, right? When you go into a system and you are kept in that system and you're cycled through probation and there is a systematic sequence of oppression, that's not happening to white males. So it's bigger than just the stop itself. It's the system. My name is Sierra. I'm an actor, a speaker, and a human rights activist. I'm very proud
she
to
is.
be African
How about she
American.
could just tell? Look how.
The challenges
I'm here.
that come with being Black, also being a Black woman, are very real. I'm at a place in my life where I'm acknowledging these things are real. Discrimination is real. The systematic oppression of Black people is very real, but I will succeed in spite of that.
The police force is foundationally racist.
I mean, it was founded on being slave catchings, like to catch runaway slaves. So fundamentally, she said.
Force is
Foundationally, yeah. But for using that word, that literally is the stamp. Fair wordage.
I want to start off by saying I don't think that every cop out there today is racist.
Same.
I think there are a lot of them who are really doing good work.
Same.
What I know from the establishment of the policing in the United States, that is directly from the slave catchers who were hired to catch runaway slaves and bring them back home.
Yeah, I agree that all cops aren't racist. I had plenty of interactions with police that were fine, but I was told by a former police officer who was, a cop who decided he didn't want to do that anymore, that, the training is pretty much specialized for only colored people, especially Black people, that if you're around them, they're the most dangerous, so you have to act in certain situations or react in certain situations,
I think I just really want to emphasize that I really think that there are some officers who are white that don't even believe that they're doing anything that may be racially motivated because they're simply doing what they were taught to do.
I come from a police family, and I'd like to add they do offer diversity trainings in the academy. So either it needs to be more extensive, or maybe we need to take it a step back and fix the selection process.
Twitching over there.
Because that process could be inherently racist. Hello, my name is Nia, and I am Black. I'm proud of my race because when I look back historically at what people of my heritage have gone through, and to see where we are now, it's remarkable, and it definitely pushes me to continue to be resilient and innovative as they were.
Historically, people formed groups, villages. Some people were hunters, some people were farmers, and then you had whoever was going to protect the group. And over hundreds of years, thousands of years, whatever it is, that's how we wind up having cops, firemen, armies, and navies.
Fair.
Community policing as a theory is a good idea. As a practice, it has some hiccups. When I show up at your house because you and your husband got into it and he beats you up and I'm friends with him, so do I want to take him to jail? He's my friend. Or I live in the same neighborhood and I go deal with some guy who's a really bad dude and he says, I know where you live, I know where your kids are. So to some degree, we have to have a little separation. This is going to get into a hot button topic, but I will tell you that, when I watched the horrible video of George Floyd, I will tell you that I can justify many of the things that happened, but I cannot justify 9 minutes on his neck or back. But what I can also tell you is I, as a policeman, and this is my personal opinion only too, the officer who was on him for 9 minutes, he probably spent too much time in the same neighborhood dealing with the same problems over and over again that he became jaded.
Isn't that what being a police officer is?
Yeah, like that's your job. Like, you know what I mean? That's like giving doctors an excuse to fuck up because they have to keep doing the same hard task of opening a heart. No.
That he became jaded.
Isn't that what being a police officer is?
It's a social service job.
That's what it sounds like, at least. Like, for me.
To that community.
But I think you need to move around so that you get to see other
But
things.
the thing is, though, right? But you also should not. They should not be moving around, because if you are a proper cop, and you are a proper cop within your community, the community will ride for you. You know what I'm saying? So the only time you ever really need to move around is if you are a bad cop. Just don't be a bad cop, and I mean bad cop with blatant racism and stuff like that, because I'm sure that there are many cops out there who are community cops who can wave to every single person on their street, black, white, whatever, and there's no issues at all. But then, or even a full black neighborhood, no issues at all. I'm sure there's at least one in the world. It's impossible. In America, at least, it's impossible not to. So it's the same thing with the level of the man right there, where he's talking about some where he's talking about that. Like, it's basically the same shit.
You don't become that jaded.
The police, no matter what your race is, we have to be integrated all together with the community. And it doesn't have to be community policing.
Like, bouncing around too much creates unfamiliarity, and all that causes panic. Like, what you imagine seeing a new person every single day. It's like kind of like the idea of when you see, like, you live in a neighborhood and you see new people always going into the same person's house every single day. It's always a new person. It's never repeat. Always the same person. Always a new person. You're gonna get skeptical. You're gonna be like, "What the fuck? What's going on over there, buddy?"
To understand each other more. I think cultural competency would be very helpful. Like, that's my issue. Whether or not the foundations of the police force was or still was racist, now we can change that. But it starts with cops. Like, at the end of the day, it's the bad police officers that are our issue. Not all police officers, but the bad police officers, we need to vet them out, and the good police officers, we need to, encourage them to be amongst the community.
Yeah.
How do we vet them out?
By making the police
by making them be accountable, because it's the whole brotherhood shit. Like, there's so many articles. I'm not gonna say I'm getting heated. I'm very into the conversation. You know what I'm saying? And I know I'm in front of a screen. Like, I would not, I'm on the internet. I would not act like this in front of this man. I would show respect. Like, there's hella articles of, like, the brotherhood idea of, like, you got to be quiet for the brotherhood. Like, no, like, your brothers, you as a brother of your brother, you should be holding them accountable.
Accountable.
That's
because
just
I
life.
feel like that demographic of officers, they're actually making things a lot worse for the other officers that are actually just trying.
Like it's not just bad for us. You all seem suspect now.
Absolutely.
So weaning them out does nothing but help
I
y'all.
think that we need to get some type of real accountability. That I don't think the police should be policing themselves. So when those cops that aren't upholding their oath, they can be.
Like, meaning, like, it should be a cop who does not like imagine y'all in the police force together. I guess, like, there should be something above, but then who's gonna do that? And then, you know what I'm saying? The top dogs are hard to find.
Really removed instead of getting all of these passes.
The bad police officers, I hate the term, like, the bad apple. It's like, no, you're a faulty grenade. Like, you're ruining your whole.
She does not look anything like I thought she was going to. I still think she's very attractive, but threw me for a loop.
Apartment
biracial
reputation.
really can be.
I feel like I was
saying?
held up to higher standards working at Whole Foods sometimes. I got 3 chances out, but, like, Derek had so many.
17 reports before George Floyd.
See,
It's like,
and that is where it's like, y'all, what's the excuse now?
What are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Do you think police officers, and I genuinely am curious.
See, I love that they brought a police officer on here and look at them having an actual conversation. Jubilee, you did it good this time.
I think they should get paid more.
I think police officers should get paid more. I also think police officers should do less. Why do I get sent to...
Fair. Social services? Okay, talk to me, Jimmy.
To all of the mental health cases. Why do I get sent
Talk to me, Jimmy.
all of these things? Now, I'll tell you why I get sent to them, is because we'll stop sending the police there, and then something horrible and tragic is going to happen, and they're going to say, why didn't we have a cop there?
Do you think we need to have different divisions?
Fair, but I think you should always be a lead. Like, a cop can accompany, but you should not be the lead. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, for this, your psychiatrist should come, but there's a cop just standing in the corner, or even if it's just an undercover cop, anything that, like, there should always be someone in the corner who is an actual cop to defend the thing. Bodyguards are never wrong, it's never bad, but at the same time, that plays into the accountability
things
part.
like mental health and just other, you know, or maybe even specific police that are just for the schools. Like, do you think that that would help with a lot of the issues?
No. We do have specialized police officers in certain things, but if we keep specializing and we get so compartmentalized that I can't go, I'm right across the street from you when you're screaming for help, that I can't go, I'm right across the street from you when you're screaming for help. Yeah.
You are no longer allowed to see learning.
Not what I do. Got to go find the guy that deals with screaming women or whatever it is. My name is Jimmy.
Fair, Jimmy. Fair. He's making good points.
I'm a retired police officer. I'm not going to tell you that there are no racists on the police department. I don't think blacks were historically treated fairly under the law. I think that we have made great progress, great strides. I think
agreed.
We have to continue to get better, but I also think
it ain't perfect. It ain't perfect, but it'd be idiotic to say no change. It would be idiotic to say that there has been zero change.
Probably see racism to this day in places where it maybe isn't.
I sometimes wish I was a different race.
I've never. I really wanted to be people. Like, I really wanted to be Nick Jonas as a kid, bro. I thought Nick Jonas was so fucking cool. I wanted to be that nigga so bad.
Not so much these days, but definitely 100% when I was a kid, I wish I was white. I grew up with my white mom. I didn't see my black side of my family after a certain point. I grew up in a small town. I was often the only student of color, definitely the only black kid.
Maybe it's because I was always surrounded by Africans or, like, you know, I was in a very diverse area a lot of times.
Everybody also would call me an Oreo. It was always just being othered. And so being a kid, you know, you just want to fit in. And for me, I wanted to be white. I just wanted to look like my mom, wanted the nice straight hair. And I just wanted to feel like included.
Yeah, I remember.
How interesting is that? That it's the two biracials who came up. I believe. Oh, that's what it is, biracials. But he did not come up. But it's interesting.
Like, I was thinking, no man is ever gonna like me because I freaking look like this. And I just remember hating my hair.
Hit my line.
As soon as puberty hit, it was just, it just blew up, and people kept on asking, do you even need a pillow to sleep at night? I'm like, I can't stand these questions. I can't do it.
Dang, that's wild. That, like, hurts people's feelings, though. Like, that's very interesting. You know what I mean? Like really everyone is so different. So it's like, to me, like, that would just breathe over my head. But for that, like, that hurt her. That's interesting.
I'm Jordan, and I am biracial. I think being biracial is definitely like living in the in-between.
I just find all women attractive at this point, if I'm being honest.
Culturally, yes, I grew up white.
All of them are pretty.
I completely know that. Like, I was raised by my white mother, but then there's also a part where race is perceived, and it's what people put on you and how they respond to you in your everyday life.
Does she get the N-word pass?
It's so interesting because I grew up in predominantly non-black communities, and for some reason,
what the hell was that?
I grew up in predominantly non-black communities.
Somebody is dying in the back.
And for some reason, still, like, being the minority at home in the family, as well as in school and in the world, I was always so proud to be black. I actually really yearned to be around other black people. So thankfully in college, that was an experience where even though we made up a small community, I was still able to, okay, this is like people that look like me.
I was in the military for 6 years, and I was usually the only Jew in my battalion. And I think that isolation produced a sort of pride and understanding of who I am, and where I come.
So I don't know any Jewish people. I don't know any. I did not know it was like that.
From so.
I have never wanted to be anything different than what I was, but that's because I really never thought about it. And to your all's point, maybe, I don't know, but maybe people treated you that way because there is this sense of wanting something that I haven't ever had before. I'd love to have a Lamborghini. You know what I mean? It's different than any other car I've ever had. It's different than what I grew up with.
I think personally for me, I was actually adopted by white parents in very diverse family. I think 6 out of the 8 of us are all adopted, all different races. I kind of have my own story apart from everyone else. And the same for everyone else that was adopted in my family. They have their own story. I always had pride in it, but at the same time, my parents are my parents no matter the color of their skin. It's the people who raised me.
Pretty bunch.
They raised me just to not look at it through the lens of race, and that's what I've always done. And I've never wanted to change my race at all. I'm Joshua, and I'm Black. I've never experienced racism. I've experienced stuff from people from my own race. I grew up in a white family by white parents. I was constantly called whitewashed. It upset me, but I didn't let it get to me. Being Black
and that's the stuff where I personally think, like, we also as a community, as a Black guy, this is one thing I think that I should also fix, I guess. Cause I like being like, oh, you're so white, or like, yo, you're the whitest Black person I know. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you know, that's the self-inflicted wounds that we're doing to ourselves.
America, just like any other person.
White privilege exists.
Jimmy, you got my respect, Jimmy.
I mean, America was founded by white people, for white people at the time. All of the institutions were designed to benefit white people. So, I mean, of course, white privilege lingers into society today. You can't deny that.
Where I would argue with you just a little bit is I think
all, like all of them. I'm looking at these.
White privilege.
I'm looking at all these women, and they're all like very pretty. I think I really do just like people.
Or too often for things that aren't necessarily white privilege.
Wash.
I agree with you completely on that one. I think there's
like
generational white privilege.
You know, being clean is good.
But I think now it's almost used as a reason to not try as hard. If we stop doing that, just really like work for it and not use white privilege as an excuse, then we could really get somewhere as in the Black community.
I would respectfully disagree. Like, all of that is true to an extent. Like, I graduated university during the pandemic, the height of it. I went abroad for university. I got 2 degrees. I graduated with honors.
Damn, talk to him.
2 languages. I should have been able to get a job right away, right? No. It took me 9 months before I was able to get a job. Had to go completely outside of my field. But then when I looked at all of my white colleagues who were in my program, all of them were hired immediately.
I need to introduce you to my daughter. She's white.
Dang, wait, Jim.
For a long time.
I'm telling you, man, that was a good option because, like, he is polite. They are all respectfully disagreeing with each other. It's just very interesting to watch.
And I'm not.
What? To breach that.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying
she didn't get her job in what her degree is in either.
But see,
and I'm not saying that.
He feels it's much less of a race thing and just like, you know, it's just a chance of the odds. But if they're all, I mean, I don't know, but let's say they're all applying in the same spot, it is statistically speaking, at least, white people usually are hired more. Statistically speaking, from the statistics that I've seen.
Her job in
I don't remember any
degree is in either.
Once again.
I respect that, but my point is saying me comparing myself to the white students who were directly in my position, they're successful, I'm not.
This country was founded upon white people coming and then putting in act Jim Crow and other laws saying that if you are not white, you are genetically inferior. You are not even a person. And some of those laws are still, and those systems are still in place today. 2 things can be true. You can have had a very hard time. Privilege is not just limited to white people, but to say white privilege doesn't exist from a historical context to me is respectfully absurd.
Something that I learned about recently is the privilege that exists in the medical field, specifically relating to the birthing process in giving epidurals. There was a study that's recently, or was debunked, that said that Black people have a higher tolerance for pain, which then has been falsely used by people who help support births in being hesitant to provide the epidurals for Black women giving birth. A lot of women die in childbirth. I don't know the exact statistics, so
3 times.
Black women are 3 times more likely to die during pregnancy-related cause than a white woman. Multiple factors contribute to these disparities, such as variation in quality, healthcare, underlying chronic conditions, structural racism, and I don't know how to say that word, bias. implicit
more
bias.
likely Black women are to die.
Thank you. The fact that I will
Respect,
be
she got that
taken
shit in the back of her
seriously,
head off rip.
more seriously than a Black woman in my place if I should be
We might have to push back the high on life part to tomorrow. We might.
giving birth at some point. I see that
Friday.
as just an absolute privilege. My name is Bryn, and I just graduated, and I'm currently gaining hours to becoming a licensed therapist. As a therapist in school, we were taught to approach things with what's called cultural humility. Cultural humility is being curious, and instead of trying to have all the answers, working collaboratively with the client to kind of understand where they're coming from.
I have been fetishized for my race.
They be like, oh, you like little biracial sautés. I feel like, oh, my little chocolate queen, chocolate drop.
The standard
the Jew.
one, you're pretty for a Black girl. I'm like, that's not a compliment.
It's not at all, bro. You're pretty for a Black girl. Black women are, you know how crazy is that? People who will write off a whole race because they think that race is ugly. I ain't even mad at it. You even more for me to just not respectfully observe, because I'm a single man. As long as they're single, I will not say anything crazy besides say you're beautiful, and beautiful woman right here on the left, beautiful woman right here on the right. And
So weird to say. And like one of the girls
And right
who
there.
took up
And
my
right there.
phone, you're like, oh my God, what are you? I'm like, this is not cute. I'm tired of having this conversation. This is lame. Yes, I know I have.
I wonder if she's tan right now. Cause I've never seen it could just be the lighting, but like the complexion of her skin, I've never seen it like that.
Not
It looks perfectly like dead ass in the middle, where like certain angles she looks white, and then other angles she looks like the woman on her left.
cute. I'm tired of having this conversation. This is lame. Yes, I know I have green eyes, hazel eyes. Like,
You falling in
let's
love?
move on.
I think Black women in particular are just extremely sexualized and fetishized. Every day I go out, I'm making sure that my outfit is, okay, because I don't want to draw certain
That's a whole different conversations.
attention. The way I wear my hair, if it's in an afro, if it's in puffs, if it's in braids, I'm going to get treated differently. Yeah, every single day something happens.
So there's a form of positive anti-Semitism where Jews are perceived as like being put together, coming from money.
Oh, isn't that what I said? Positive racism or some shit like that. He said positive.
Where
What was the word that I
Jews are
used?
perceived as like being put together, coming from money, being doctors, lawyers, and women are
I think I said
attracted
positive toxicity.
to those sort of things. And then also too, like all Jewish men are circumcised. Some women have that preference. So I've definitely experienced it, but
What the fuck?
I feel like it's a sort of subtle, trivial thing. Like it never really bothered me. But it's
Because I'm thinking on his standpoint, I would have said he was probably like those are the good stereotypes. You know what I mean? Like I would rather be seen as put together and all these things simply because of my religion.
Yeah, I've had
That's
experiences
everybody.
in high school, college. People ask me to stop me, mainly women. Like, oh, are you Egyptian? Or are you black in this or black in that?
Egyptian.
There's always something. There's always
Like
black in something
Arabic?
else. And I'll let them know what I am, and they're like, oh, that's exotic or something crazy. My name is
Exotic
Dino,
is crazy.
And I am biracial. I don't want people to think that I'm like split between being black or white. I acknowledge that I'm mixed and I'm biracial, but for the most part, growing up, I was always considered black. I consider myself black. My family did as well. So I don't think we should live in a colorblind society, but I also don't think we should stay stuck and feel like we can't move forward and still thrive and accomplish things because of our skin color and where we live in America.
Bare beans. You walking slow, that mango Jimmy.
I would just have a question for everyone who stepped forward. I'm just curious how that's like. What's it like?
Exhausting.
It sounds exhausting.
Yeah, I think Black
Who
women.
said
What's it
exhausting?
like?
Exhausting.
It sounds exhausting.
Damn.
Yeah, I think Black women historically have a really interesting relationship with desirability. Culturally, it seems
She
like we're
look
not
good, too.
desired. And then when we are, we're being fetishized. So it's like, okay, we're usually not desired, but now we are. Am I supposed to lean into this fetishization?
I
When
think
they say fetishize, it's like I don't know. I'm trying to think of the word fetishize, but like I don't want to mistake it for the word preference. Does that make sense? I don't want to fuck up that.
being a woman,
But see, at the same time, like You know, she gets fetishized for just being a woman. So I will come back to y'all if I think of it.
We deal with certain things every day, specifically being a Black woman, being fetishized. It's interesting because if I, especially in my industry, because I'm there to work and be professional, I'm just super professional and I don't give any attention to that at all, that kind of energy, then I'm an angry Black.
Can I say something real quick? This might be a mistake to say, and I don't even know. But like, am I wrong for saying that? For like looking at her and be like, oh, she's bad or beautiful or whatever. Like, is that wrong to say?
I think that it's
And like just blurt it out like that. Like it's like, you know, you just look at somebody, so it's like you're like oh, you're constructing the face in your mind. It's like, oh, you are attractive, you look good, you're bad.
really
Is that rude to do to a woman? Genuine question of the day.
You can't win.
Prosperous. I forgot what the word of the day was. Like, look at her teeth, bro. What?
It does feel like that. So yeah, that you can't win sometimes.
Yeah, and there's also a flip side to it. It's like, for me specifically, I'm light-skinned amongst majority dark-skinned people, and people will deem me or deem other light-skinned people as a certain way, weaker or less than, or just like.
Oh, you're talking about the light skin, bro. His light skin face, I feel like could
you're
go crazy
lighter
though.
than, so we're going to be so pro-Black that we're not going to, consider you as one of us. You're just other.
Oh, this is perfect. I literally think about this. So it's like I was told one time that since I am African, like since I'm first generation American, I should not be saying the N-word. Since I am African, not African American, I should not be allowed to say nigga. And I will, and a black person said that to me. I was like, that's interesting. I literally never thought of it like that. I had never thought of it, not ever in my life. I was like, wow. You know what I mean? Of course, I still say it because I do not agree with that. As, you know, Black is Black. They don't know if I'm I mean, my name is Abu, but you understand what I'm saying. Nobody really knows the difference just looking at me. So, but it was just very interesting. It was very interesting to hear.
Beauty standards in the Black community, and that's colorism. Like
differential treatment based on skin color, especially favoritism towards those with a lighter skin tone, and mistreatment or exclusion of those with a darker skin tone, typically among those of the same racial group or ethnicity. So what I would experience as a kid, that was colorism, not racism.
Told, you're beautiful, you're not Black. You know, it's just like these little things.
Or you must be mixed with something.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
You're beautiful, you're not Black.
Who the fuck said that?
You know, it's just like these little things.
Or you must be mixed with something,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I don't know. Maybe it's once again where I grew up. I have never experienced like hearing somebody say things like that. Ever. I've definitely gotten dirty looks from Black people when I was dating an Indian girl, but I've never been told, "Oh, you're cute for a Black guy" or something like that. That's wild.
My name's Christina.
Christina.
I'm biracial. I have been fetishized for the color of my skin.
Your hair,
on both
probably
sides.
too.
You know, Black men will be really into me because I'm light skinned, or other men who are not Black might be into me because I am that Black girl, but maybe I'm not too Black, and that for whatever reason is appealing. Being deemed as exotic or something
Nigerian,
other is just very
I
problematic.
don't feel about these kids. The world was going crazy over her shirt. I never thought it was that cool. Like, it's cool, but bro, niggas was like flipping cars over it.
Colorism within the Black community at large.
We need reparations for the Black community.
My only question is for something like this is how is it separated? Like it's only a thing. Like I understand the sentiment, but like as I stated before, where I am Black, where some people see me as African, not African American. Like would I qualify for that? You know what I'm saying? Or would someone like Jay-Z qualify for that? Would someone like Jay-Z get less money because it's Jay-Z? Would someone like me get less money because I'm first generation African American, not fourth or whatever? You know, those are the questions I have that I've never been able to ask somebody personally. Me, myself, and I.
I think people need like individualized like paychecks. Like I don't think that's gonna like work. But I think.
But like, is it like a stimulus check kind of thing? Because that's not. Was that individual paychecks, or is it
pouring funds into communities who could really use it, building jobs?
Fair.
Jobs there.
And then like providing them with the proper education to learn how to use it. Reparations.
There, like more opportunities would do so much. Like that's how I see it should be.
Anytime that Black communities in the U.S. try to, pull themselves up by the bootstraps. They were attacked. Like, I think it was in Tulsa.
The Black Wall Street Massacre took place on May 1st, May 31st, and June 1st, 1921. When mobs of white residents, some of whom were given weapons by city officials, attacked black people, their homes, and their businesses in Greenwood, district of Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I've never read about it, but I've heard of this multiple times as I've in my most recent 2 years of existence. Wild, that's crazy to me. The fact that personally I never did. We never learned about that in school. That's crazy. That, and I'm not saying learn about it as a kiddo or anything, but we're high school where our minds were able to properly think, or a college course. But I think it should be more high school where you're quote unquote forced to take it.
Destroyed. So again, something needs to be done.
When the Civil War ended, there was a representative from Ohio. I can't remember his name. But he was a radical Republican and advocated for the phrase 40 acres and a mule.
40 acres and a mule was part of a special field operations number 15, a wartime order proclaimed by the Union General William Sherman on January 16, 1865, during the American Civil War, to allot land to some freed families and lots of land no larger than 40 acres.
For every emancipated slave. So there was supposed to be reparations, and there never was. Every emancipated and advocated for the phrase 40 acres and a mule for every.
Oh no, I gotta reread it. Oh wow.
Emancipated slave. So there was supposed to be reparations.
They just never
got.
There
never was. And I think, especially as a Jewish person, Jews received reparations for the Holocaust.
Damn.
They're still receiving. And in my mind, there's no amount of money that will ever undo the
slavery.
Holocaust. So that you could, all the money in the world will never make it right. But
it definitely would help.
I think the idea and principle of reparations is good.
Yeah.
Logistically, I don't know how it would happen.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say the reason I stayed back was because I wasn't entirely sure what was meant by reparations.
Yeah.
But your example of the Holocaust, I would say that I agree.
Similar reason, when I think of reparations, I think of something similar to a stimulus check. My worry is, with the lack of financial literacy, will we actually make strides? That's my.
And that's what I said in my previous video, to when they pumped all that money, there was no financial literacy. So how do you expect them to know how to use it?
So I would love
that. You're setting them up. You're disguising your bad deed with a little bit of frosting because people think it'll taste a little bit better.
In underserved communities, something like that. But I do have a fear that even if we did have the money, without that generational knowledge of
more
how
like
to
a
take care of
cake
our finances, that it would just
with the one layer of
defeat the purpose.
But
as a
even
frosting.
if that were to happen, though, I still think that would still be the right step. We'll give these people the funds.
But I don't agree with that. Ooh, I love this. I don't agree with this simply because I find it's so important. It's so important because it doesn't matter how much money you have. If you don't know how to use it, you don't know how to use it because you will hit zero because you don't know how to use it. Of course, there's numbers where we can reach where it's pretty damn near impossible. But you know what I'm saying? That's more important than just the bread. At that point, at first you should invest it into the schools to teach them financial literacy, and then at a certain point, maybe then start investing, giving out little checks and stuff, to a certain generation or something. But I don't know. But for sure, financial literacy is too important to just ignore it. It's too important.
We'll give them our promise, and if they float or sink or whatever, that's on them. At least.
What?
It's we as a country took the right step.
But what the fuck?
Funds or whatever, we'll give them our promise, and if they float or sink or whatever, that's on them.
But my question is, the mindset she has right there, how many, there's 100% people who feel about that right now, and that is what the issue is, where they feel about that, they feel like that right now, we're
we give you everything, you sink or you swim, nigga, that's all you.
You know what I'm saying? That is what the issue is, to where do you actually give a fuck? You know what I'm saying? You care, but there's still some things that clearly need to be fixed, but you don't care to fix it because you think it's good enough. An update can't be finished at 50%. or
like
20 or
we
whatever.
as
It
a
needs to hit
country take
100.
the right steps.
And we're not at 100 yet.
I'm all for money going to the community. I am for that because that
I think
are,
that's what I'm more like for as well. Into the community more than just in pockets, just because before it has to be in pocket. I financial literacy is so important. As I am currently going broke, like I'm understanding how important it is to actually know how to use my money. Oh shit.
the way they are because of things in the past. But to give out checks to individual people, there's a difference between learning from the past and then still getting caught up in the past. I mean, if I had a time machine, I could go back and
I can tell you right now, when I got my stimulus check, bro, I bought AirPods. You know what I'm saying? I didn't use it properly, and it would be the same exact thing because I'm not gonna say little kids. Or like once you reach a certain, like I'm 22, or like the college kid, if you file your own taxes, you can do it. You know, and it's a thing where like you can't guarantee the money is going to be used properly, and at that point, it's just a waste of money.
and be like, hey, you never gave us the 40 acres and a mule. I would be all for that, and I would get on that for the people who were affected and actually went through slavery. But in today's age, like no one's experienced it and gone through it. Yes,
fair. I see where it's coming
from. Taking hit by that, but so I mean, I've never.
You don't think your ancestors experienced slavery?
I think they do, but I haven't.
See, he has much more of the mind. I see what he's saying. He's much more individualistic with it, not in a bad way, but in the sense that he's explaining it.
I've never been in it, so why should I get a check from somebody else who never put
and see what he's saying? It sounds like he basically a thing where like he doesn't want the reward for a task that somebody else completed.
You should be going way back.
So what about the people who are the descendants of the slave owners who are still reaping the financial benefits of your ancestors who slaved in those fields for literally generation after generation?
See, I never thought of it. And this is why communication is so important, y'all. Make sure y'all learn how to communicate properly and effectively. It can change your life. Hello?
During that time, your great-grandfather could have been building a business that could be flourishing by now, and you would have a multi-million-dollar franchise as they do off the backs of others. You don't think that deserves some rectification for you in the present time?
To be honest, like, no, because
that's fair.
Something that happened in the past. Again, I haven't experienced it. I'm doing fine right now. I'm doing fine.
Both sides.
And I'm not going to be all upset over somebody else.
All upset.
Ancestors who I don't even know who enslaved my ancestors. I don't need it. I have no reason to have it.
So for me personally, I'm not upset about it, but I do feel my grandfather, on his side, they were the first family in the state of Texas to actually file for reparations. And for me, I'm succeeding in spite of that. But to this gentleman's point, when the government says, hey, we're gonna do a thing, obviously the government in itself saw the weight in the air of the wrong, just as the German government did. I think if I want to buy 90 gold chains, that's my business. I think it would be unfortunate.
See, but if he, okay.
Fortunate, but I think that if I'm entitled to something, I think it should be in the same fashion that the people of Jewish descent got it. I think it should be in the same fashion that the people that are Japanese descent got it. So you might think it doesn't affect you, but overall,
I didn't know Japanese people got reparations. Interesting.
We have been greatly impacted by slavery, even up to current. I just choose not to focus on it nonstop so it doesn't become something that holds me back. But I definitely think it's something that we're entitled to.
Thank you.
I love videos like these, man. Hi. Would it be a bad idea if I try to get the girls with braids number? If I was there, I'm a bad person. What's up? But I love videos like these, man. I love videos like these only because for me, I think I said this before in a different stream. People are the most interesting thing in the world to me because of how different minds can be. Like, it's just so interesting. It's such an interesting concept in my mind that like I literally can't grab it. Like you saw just how excited I got looking at the corner doing like that. Like you literally see it. And for me, man, I just love that. I love that so much. And for that reason, videos like these always make me so happy to watch. Like it always makes me so happy to watch, man. It always makes me so happy because it's like education. What one can do with it. You know what I mean? Education. But yeah, that's it. Hope y'all enjoyed the stream / video because I gotta go do some stuff now because I thought today I'd be free to do everything I wanted to do, but I am not. I gotta stop looking at myself. Even like it's weird. I don't even like looking at myself right now. It's just like a weird thing. I just want to make sure I'm in the shot because I feel like I do that too much. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. And either probably not tomorrow. I will be honest with you. There's a chance, but not 100%. Even so, yeah, that or Friday/Saturday, there'll be a stream, and we're gonna be playing High on Life with a little bit of potion. You know what I'm saying? Shout out Gangy Wangy, Live Up team. And in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Stay safe. Happy birthday. Shout out Black folk. Shout out bitches. I get money. Hey.
That's a lot.